Hey everybody, it is September 27th and this is another Message in the Bottle wine video. It is biodynamically a leaf day. Bummer, but you know, we're all at the end of the week, and if you want to have a glass of wine, you have that glass of wine. Or whatever you need to have. Like I said, sometimes lemonade just hits the spot. Whatever it is. Today I wanted to talk about cork. We'll talk about all forms of closure sometime, and that's not a psychological thing. It means like actually closing up wine, right? But I wanted to talk a little bit today about corkage, cork, and all the sorts of things. So as anybody who was watching yesterday's video knows, I was tasting a bunch of wines, and I mentioned that one of them was corked. What do I mean by that? I mean that cork was infected with something called TCA, trichloroanisole. This is something that is in 5 to 10% of cork naturally. It's just there. We all know about it. It's sort of built into industry standard practices at this point, including, by the way, and this is a very good consumer tip, if you end up with a wine that you open it up and like you smell the glass and it's I can describe it sometimes like rotten potatoes, a library that's been sort of underwater and dried out, but like, you know, books that have been like moldy and stuff like that. It's a very distinct smell. Some people are very, very sensitive to it, like me, and some people really don't notice it at all. But not only does it funkify the smell, but it also sort of diminishes the flavor profile. So even if you don't necessarily smell it, you may notice that the wine it's just something's wrong with it, something's off. It's a very, very, it's 5 to 10% common, however common that seems to be to you. But that is a reason that a lot of people have switched to alternative closures, which we can talk about another time. But let's talk about cork today. So cork, the majority of cork comes from Portugal. It is a form of oak. It is Quercus suber is the Latin term for it, and it's harvested, I believe, it's every 9 years. So the bark grows, and it is literally harvested with these really sharp, nasty-looking knifey things, and processed. Now there's corks, I should say now, that are longer and come from certain cork companies, because of course there's long-term cork, growers. This is like an industry. They're basically they are known for better cork and corks. And so they will have like long-term contracts with like your Mouton Rothschilds, things like that. Other corks you'll notice are shorter. Of course, the thicker, obviously, the more you're going to spend. I mean, it's trying to keep the wine from leaking and keep the wine safe. And so you're ending up with good cork, bad cork, and then you're ending up with things like this. This is why I have this here. You can say that you've all seen this. This is cork that's broken down and then it's reformulated. And there's different iterations of even this. There's sort of regular ones that are untreated. They're just sort of recycled material. But there's new stuff coming out, including a company called Dart, which corks are in one of the wines I was trying yesterday. And they break it down like this, but then they treat it with, I think it's like an ultraviolet treatment for like 20 seconds or something to kill off any possible bacteria. And then they reformulate it with a vegetarian-based binding agent. So it's really, really fascinating, because that company, the cork company, guarantees the quality of the wine. You will not have a corked bottle up to, and they have like a 3-year, a 5-year, a 10-year cork that are, they're guaranteed up to that time. Pretty crazy. So there's lots of, stuff involved in this, but basically, by the way, when they pull that cork at a restaurant, for instance, and put the cork in front of you, it's not there to smell cork. It's there to smell if there's trichloroanisole in there. That's the whole, and that's why they put that little sip in there to see if the wine is off. Now, there's other things that can make a wine off, but this is a big, big, big one. And I must reiterate, if I feel like I started to, and maybe I got lost earlier. If you end up with a corked bottle, bring it back, stop up the rest of it, bring it back to your friendly neighborhood wine merchant. We'll take it back, we can pass it up the system, because as I said, this is an industry understood thing. There are people who build into their business model 5 to 10% loss of their product, or those who decide they don't want to do that, which is why they go to alternative closures, your screw caps, your glass stoppers, your artificial corks, stuff like that. So just so you know a little bit about the almighty cork. It stops up our favorite beverage, and it also sometimes creates some problems. And if it does create problems, there's probably reasons for that. And if you have any other questions about it, always ask, because there's probably legitimate ways that you can be made whole, be satisfied, and maybe learn a little bit. Talk to you next time.